In the plunged silence of eternity, one question claws through the void. What sins have been deemed unforgivable by the Emperor's gaze? This is the whisper that bleeds from a tattered scroll, long buried beneath the ashen bones of 1,000 fallen worlds. A question as old and as deadly as the stars themselves. In the Grimdark of the 41st millennium, where even the fabric of reality recoils beneath the weight of endless war, there exists a bastion known only as Ultramar. Unlike the shattered remnants of humanity, Ultramar is a mosaic of 500 worlds bound by loyalty, honor, and ironclad faith. Its defenders, the Wardens of Ultramar, are not merely warriors, they are living relics, the Imperium's incorruptible shield and the Emperor's wrath incarnate. They stand eternal against the tides of Xenos, traitor, and demon alike. Theirs is a solemn oath whispered in chapels, stained by the blood of martyrs, to protect until the last ember of humanity's glory flickers. Amid sprawling cathedrals, etched with the names of forgotten heroes, the Wardens bear arms forged from the fragments of ancient kings and the blessings of saints long interred. Each battle they fight is a ceremony of sacrifice, each victory a hymn sung to the Emperor's name. But Ultramar's peace is a fragile sanctum, shadowed by a darkness darker than night, an unrelenting corruption that festers beneath the Primarch's shining banner. As the great fleets warred in the void, unseen among the stars was a whisper, a serpent beneath Ultramar's golden isle, a secret knot of treachery woven deep within the chapters of the Warden's own ranks. The question echoes anew: what truth lies hidden in the waning light of these stoic sentinels? For even as the Wardens hold the line, a silent fracture grows, a portent that the eternal war may yet consume what it has sworn to protect. Though their bolters thunder like the inevitable storm, and their purity seals burn with sanctified fury, the eternal struggle is no mere contest of steel. It is a cosmic trial, writ in ruin and faith. Each fallen world whispers of horrors unspoken, of demonic pacts and Xenos plagues that gnaw at the core of existence itself. The Wardens, sworn as stewards of Ultramar's final hope, walk a knife-edge balance between duty and damnation. In the depths of their arsenals lie relics that even the Inquisition dare not speak of, artifacts of power stolen from the heart of the warp. These relics, blessings or curses, are both shield and shackle, binding the Wardens to a fate writ in stars and blood. As the chronicle unfolds, the Wardens march through lands scorched by sorcery and icons shattered by betrayal. Their warriors are clad in ceramite armor, engraved with the sigils of loyalty, their prayers carried by voxcasters across war-torn skies. Every campaign unfolds beneath a canopy of celestial war, where the screams of the vanished echo through the void, and the Emperor's light strikes cold and unforgiving. Yet, even as they crush heresy underfoot, a rumor seeps through Ultramar's hallowed halls, one of a fallen Warden captain, consumed not by enemy fire, but by the whispering dark. This captain vanished during the siege of Talos Ix, a forgotten outpost on Ultramar's fringe, where time seemed to warp and decay bloomed like a pestilent flower. His last act was a transmission, a cryptic message obscured in ritual speech and forbidden glyphs, hinting at a harrowing revelation that threatened the very soul of Ultramar. None who heard it understood, and none returned from that planet's shattered surface. The silence that followed was more telling than the screams. The Warden's vigilance failed, not from lack of strength, but from an enemy hidden in plain sight, a betrayal stitched from shadow and doubt. Faith and fear entwined in the hearts of Ultramar's defenders, for to question the Wardens was to question the Emperor himself. Yet, the unease grew a festering wound beneath the stoic visage of loyalty. Whispers told of a clandestine cabal within the Wardens, a cabal whose allegiance twisted beyond the loyalism they professed. Amongst the ancient tomes and battle-worn relics, a hidden doctrine pulsed with unstable power, a doctrine that could unravel the very foundation of the 500 worlds. The tale weaves a tapestry of forgotten gods and timeless conspiracies, its threads frayed with the desperate hopes of an Imperium on the brink. In the hushed moments before battle, Under the weighty gaze of shrines and statues shattered by time, the Wardens gather their prayers and bolters. Their creed is etched in fire: never falter, never fail. But as the war drags on, an endless cycle of blood and valor, the line between protector and destroyer blurs. The shadow rising from the depths of Ultramar undermines their resolve, twisting faith into fear. In the shadows of the last great citadel, a warden with eyes like the void stands watch, whispering forbidden liturgies into the wind, a silent herald to a looming cataclysm. The saga of the Wardens of Ultramar culminates not in resounding triumph, but in the chilling stillness. The air grows thick with the scent of ozone and decay as a ghostly transmission fractures the silence, an echo from the shadowed heart of the 500 worlds. A forgotten machine, ancient beyond reckoning, awakens deep beneath the surface, stirring with knowledge buried since the heresy. Its message is fragmented, its meaning obscured, but one truth pierces like a blade through the fabric of fate. Ultramar's shield is fracturing, the eternal war's balance tipping toward a fate not yet written. In the darkness, as faith clashes with dread, the final whisper hangs heavy among the stars. The protector may yet become the harbinger, but of what end, none may say. The scroll closes on a fate suspended, a rift unseen that may rend asunder not only worlds, but the very souls sworn to defend them. The story lingers in the air, a cryptic testament to those who would dare uncover the shadow stitched beneath Ultramar's golden light. The whispered echoes of doubt coil like smoke through the halls of Ultramar's citadels, where warriors once stout of heart now carry shadows beneath their ceramite helms. Faith, once unyielding, frays at the edges, stretched by unspoken questions. If the Emperor's light is absolute, why does darkness bloom so thickly beneath Ultramar's golden spires? Chaplains chant in hollow tones, their prayers faltering before the silent void, a void that swallows not only sound but certainty. Within these prayers, a hidden rebellion stirs, born not of arms but of whispered heresies. A sect clandestine among the faithful, hungry not for glory, but for knowledge forbidden by the ecclesiarchy itself, seeks unraveling truths in ancient texts scorched by doctrinal flame. The Wardens themselves feel this fissure. In their ranks, quiet factions arise, those who believe salvation lies in blind obedience, and those whose minds are cracked by visions of future fallen. Among them, a once venerated captain named Valerian is haunted by dreams burdened with prophecy and doom. His visions speak of the Emperor's Imperium not as a fortress, but as a tomb, a cradle for ensnaring fate where loyalty is a chain binding ships to inevitable ruin. His comrades whisper of treason. Yet in his silence, Valerian harbors a secret. He has glimpsed the warp's dark tendrils clawing beneath Ultramar's veneer and seen the faces behind the mask of loyalty. The priests who wield the Emperor's words find their sermons challenged by whispers from the penitent, doubts about the sanctity of their crusade and the purity of their laws. On remote worlds, pilgrims return changed, bearing relics and icons desecrated by whispered blasphemies. The Inquisition moves as a shadow in the background, their agents threading through the undercurrents of faith with bolters and subtle interrogations, seeking signs of heresy not on the battlefield, but in the hearts of men. Political intrigue weaves through their ranks as lords and governors exploit the unrest to consolidate power, their ambitions cloaked in piety while their hands drip with secret guile. Technology, too, bears scars of the unseen war. The ancient machine from the chronicle's end is more than mere artifact. It pulses with a resonance that defies logic and reason, a corrupt intelligence gnawing at Ultramar's core. Servitors linked to it manifest aberrations, warp-touched aberrations that cannot be purged with litanies or flame. The machine spirit murmurs with voices older than the galaxy itself, telling riddles in circuits and fiber, promising truths at the cost of sanity. Technomancers tread this fine line with trembling hands, their faith warring with knowledge that might rend the very mind. Yet none dare sever the link, for the consequences are unknown and hope is a fleeting ember. A council of Ultramar's highest stakes convenes amidst vaulted chambers draped in banners faded by centuries. Lords and wardens clash, not with bolters, but with words sharpened like blades. Their debate seethes with fear and fury. Some call for purges, for iron and flame to root out corruption. Others plead for patience, for preserving the fragile unity that binds the 500 worlds. Yet beneath their discourse lies a more sinister truth. A faction within the Wardens is already in league with forces from beyond the material realm, cultists who venerate the void, who believe that the Imperium's end is a necessary crucible for rebirth. This heresy grows in silence, fed by desperation and whispered nostalgia for a galaxy before the eternal war. Across blighted battlefields, scarred by flame and shattered faith, the Wardens wage wars both external and internal. Their sacred vows command they bear no weakness, yet wounds fester venoms not of flesh but spirit. Veterans speak quietly of dreams haunted by shadowed specters, lost brothers who promised salvation but delivered annihilation. Faith is no longer a simple beacon, but a battleground, where prayers clash with the gnawing sense of doom. In the midst of this, Valyrian's vision deepens. An infiltration not by Xeno's blades, but by corrupted souls, turning brethren into traitors beneath the light of Ultramar's twin suns. On the desolate fringes of Ultramar, a hidden conclave of priests uncovers a forbidden scripture, a fragment of a blasphemous gospel that hints at the Emperor's own fallibility. The text speaks of an ancient pact shattered, a betrayal so profound it shattered the sky above Terra itself, a truth that could rend the soul of the Imperium. The priests debate revelation versus suppression, their voices trembling with dread, for to spread such knowledge could ignite ruin, but to hide it condemns them to silence and complicity. In the silence between prayers, a slow corruption infects the very sanctuaries built to shield the faithful. As the Wardens prepare once more for war, a chilling dispatch arrives from Valyrian's former command, a transmission garbled and torn, but pulsating with terrible urgency. It speaks of a battle not with the usual enemies, but against shadows within theirs and their enemies alike. Something monstrous walks the battlefields, neither demon nor man, a blight creeping from the ruins of a lost world, bringing madness and despair. The echoes of ancient prophecies stir anew, hinting that the eternal war is fracturing across dimensions, realities bleeding into one another, like wounds reopened after millennia. In the final twilight before the coming storm, Valyrian returns, changed, weary, a ghost draped in tattered faith. But the hero is fractured. His eyes reflect an abyss filled with silent horrors, unseen by even the most fervent priests. To those who confront him, he utters a single broken truth. The Emperor's light hides a shadow older than sin itself. His words fracture the remaining certainty among the Wardens, unraveling decades of steadfast conviction and shaking Ultramar's foundations to their core. In his silence echoes the real terror, the beginning of a rot spreading from the heart of loyalty itself. But beneath the shattered remnants of faith, a whisper persists, an omen or a curse, that something waits, patient and calculating, beyond the veil of the 500 worlds. In this vast silence, broken only by the distant thunder of war, the true nature of the Warden's burden comes into stark focus. In a galaxy burning with betrayal and saintly death, the greatest threat might not come from without, but arise from within. The chronicle closes with a desperate eye turned to the stars, a question unanswered and a darkness deeper still. What lies beyond loyalty, when loyalty is the greatest heresy? Beneath the cold glare of a dying star, a solitary warrior's confession pours into the empty sanctum, a voice raw with exhaustion and the weight of unending war. Brother Captain Seraphon kneels amidst the shattered remains of what was once a chapel, his armor scorched and adorned with fragments of faded laurels. His words scrape against the solemn silence, revealing a soul battered by the ceaseless carnage. I once believed the Emperor's light was eternal, unwavering, a beacon that no shadow could touch. But as the 500 worlds fall one by one, I see now that our faith is but a fragile flame flickering against the storm of oblivion. His memories surge echoes of comrades lost to heresy and madness, the horrors glimpsed between the veils of reality, and the cold indifference of the void that swallows all hope. The battlefield is a symphony of destruction, where bolters roar and the screams of the damned pierce the emptiness. Seraphon leads his brethren into a storm of Xenos, their cannons blazing as infernal energies tear through reality's fabric. Yet amid the chaos, a more insidious terror gnaws at their minds, a psychic presence, barely perceived yet overwhelming in its malignance. The warp roils, a storm of thoughts and nightmares intertwining, and Seraphon's faith wavers as the psychic echo whispers forbidden prophecies. The enemy is no longer only flesh and metal, but the very essence of doubt and despair, infecting the hearts of those sworn to stand inviolable. Their souls are battlegrounds, ravaged by secrets clawing at the edges of sanity. In the remote monastic world of Callistus Prime, the dying faith manifests as whispered rebellions within silent cloisters. Priests once devoted to the Emperor's unyielding truth now question the sacred dogmas, their hands trembling with forbidden scripture. The hallowed halls, once resounding with liturgies, now pulse with a quiet despair, as secrets long sunk beneath layers of sanctimony claw their way to the light. Among them, a scholar priest named Brother Thalion claims to have deciphered a fragment of ancient truth, a revelation that shakes the very foundations of belief. The Emperor's divinity, often taken as immutable, might itself be a carefully woven lie to conceal a more harrowing cosmic truth beneath the visage of gods and heroes. Meanwhile, across the dying stars of Ultramar, political shadows writhe as lords and commanders maneuver through the crumbling order. Alliances forged in fire fracture under whispers of treason, and the once unified front of the Wardens splinters like cracked ceramite. Deep within the palace of the Lord Commander, a secret meeting convenes leaders swathed in silence, plotting to seize control, convinced that salvation requires ruthless sacrifice of faith and kinship alike. Yet even here, beneath masks of power, paranoia gnaws, the fear that the true enemy is no external invader, but a rot flowering from the very seed of their ideology, threatening to consume all from within. Seraphon's descent into torment grows as he is haunted by visions drawn from the psychic tempest. He sees the primal past of the Emperor, not the unassailable sovereign of mankind, but a being forged and fractured by forces beyond understanding. These visions reveal an origin story buried beneath millennia, a titanic betrayal embedded in the bones of the galaxy's creation, echoing through infinite ages. The Emperor's light is revealed not as pure salvation, but as a cage, a beacon that binds humanity to endless cycles of war and despair. Haunted by these insights, Seraphon wrestles with his shattered faith, caught between the desperate need for hope and the crushing weight of truth. In the shadows of the warp-wreathed fortress monasteries, a conclave of psychers bears witness to a nightmare unfolding, the currents of fate bending, reshaping reality like molten ceramite. The psychic tempest intensifies, and amidst the screaming void, an unholy symphony rises, terrible voices in tongues forgotten, chanting in rhythms that unravel the mind. The psychers glimpse a presence rising, not a demon, not a god, but something older, an entity entwined with the Emperor himself in ways no mortal mind should comprehend. This revelation shatters loyalties as the Wardens face an adversary not of flesh, but a cosmic contagion, siphoning the essence of the Imperium and the very soul of Ultramar. Within the ruined temples, Brother Thalion's forbidden scripture is stolen by a faction of zealots who seek to weaponize the blasphemous truths. They proclaim a new gospel, not of salvation, but of cosmic revolution that will unmake and remake the Imperium in fire. Their cult spreads like a virus among the desperate, twisting the faith of simple worlds into anarchic zealotry. As uprisings ignite, the Wardens confront not only external enemies, but a swelling internal rebellion of belief that threatens to consume the 500 worlds in chaos. The war is no longer fought solely with bolter and blade, but in the hearts of those clinging fiercely to broken hopes. Seraphan's world fractures further when a trusted brother-in-arms betrays him, revealing allegiance to the spreading heresy. The betrayal cuts deep more than blood spilled. It rends the fragile bond of brotherhood and faith. This betrayal is not born of weakness, but conviction. The traitor's cause is a grim vision of a galaxy free from the Emperor's cruel yoke. Their clash unfolds beneath the eerie glow of corrupted relics, where past allegiances collapse into violent contention. The line between ally and enemy dissolves, leaving only the cold truth. Trust is a currency in eclipse, and loyalty but a fleeting shadow in the eternal war. Across collapsing realities, the dying star's light wanes as the fabric of existence fractures. Time itself fractures, revealing glimpses of countless ultramarine realms, echoes of worlds untethered from continuity and memory. The warp's grasp twists these fragments into paradoxes, and the Wardens find themselves caught in visions where reality splinters into horror and hope intertwined. The cosmos reveals a deeper secret. The Emperor's crusade is but one thread in a grand design, authored by powers beyond reckoning, where the fate of mankind is neither divine nor doom, but a puzzle piece in an uncaring machine of cosmic despair. Amid these revelations, a hidden codex surfaces within the relic vaults, an artifact not crafted by human hands, but etched on bone and starfire by a pre-human intelligence. It speaks of a time before the Emperor, before stars were born, a secret history that undermines the sacred genesis of the Imperium. This codex reveals mankind's origins as pawns in wars that span dimensions, caught between celestial architects whose designs demand endless sacrifice. The Wardens confront an impossible choice: to cling to comforting lies or to stare unflinching into the abyss of an unknowable truth that could unravel their very souls. As the saga reaches a freezing crescendo, Seraphan's confession becomes a dirge for a dying age. His words tremble. Faith was a shield, now it is a shroud. The light we chase blinds us to shadows beneath our feet. In this moment, a storm of psychic energy bursts forth, engulfing him in a maelstrom of vision and despair. He is transformed, not into hero nor martyr, but something between, a harbinger of an apocalypse carved in silence. The star above blooms black, extinguished by a power unseen, and the Wardens of Ultramar stand on the cusp of a new war, one that will redefine the eternal struggle in ways yet unimagined, where loyalty and heresy are but two faces of the same endless coin. The final breath of this chapter is drawn not in victory or defeat, but in chilling transfiguration, a truth so profound it distorts the very nature of existence, stirring ancient forces that watch, wait, and hunger beyond the veil. The saga turns with a whisper that chills the soul. The Emperor's light is not alone in the galaxy, and some shadows once cast can never be undone. The weight of 1,000 broken oaths presses down like lead-infused ceramite, rounding the shoulders of the remaining Wardens as they stand over the rubble-strewn plains of Fenris Prime, the air heavy with the scent of scorch and ash. Each breath is a prayer choked in dust, a confession whispered only to the void. Devotion here is a crucible flames of loyalty, forged in the impossible heat of endless siege. Yet even as bolter shells carve jagged hymns in the desolation, silence intrudes, a suffocating void between the shriek of apostate engines and the prayers of the wounded. It is in this silence, pregnant with waiting doom, that the true cost of faith is written. Sacrifice not just of flesh, but of soul, of hope buried beneath the siege's relentless weight. At the heart of the shattered citadel, Lord Commander Ignatius grimly surveys the armies he commands. His face scarred by centuries of war and burdened by secrets too terrible to speak, barely flickers beneath his helm. Memories surge violently through his mind, recollections of brothers lost to heresy, of oaths broken beneath the burning skies of Calchas IV, and the bitter taste of betrayal by those once thought unshakable. Each scar tells a story of trust betrayed, of faith challenged and broken like fractured adamantium. The galaxy, he knows, is being reshaped by choices made not in halls of power, but in the bloodied trenches and silent prayers of forgotten warriors. Across the void, fleet formations crawl relentlessly toward orbital bombardment, a celestial wrath poised to devour worlds anew. The stillness before the fury is unbearable. Stars die slowly, as if holding their breath for the inevitable firestorm. Pilots clutch their cold controls, knowing that the execution of their mission may raise not only cities, but the fragile hope clinging to scattered survivors. Below, civilian worlds crumble under the certainty of extinction, their prayers unanswered, voices swallowed by starlight. This is the galaxy's unrelenting calculus, each act of war a step further into darkness, where mercy is a myth and the cost of duty is always paid in blood and broken dreams. In the chapel's hollow, Brother Captain Seraphon kneels alone, his conviction shattered yet unwilling to dissolve fully. He listens to the distant clangor of war, as if it were an echo from a past life, a lamentation for the vanished. His whispered prayers struggle against the tide of doubt. Questions that clawed his soul. Is the Emperor's path salvation or an eternal trap? As memories flood back, fleeing innocence swallowed by the carnage, comrades who died bearing lies, the crushing weight of eternal duty threatens to snap his spirit. Yet still, he rises with broken resolve, bearing the stain of loyalty amidst a galaxy teetering on betrayal. Among the ruined council chambers, voices rise in bitter cacophony, clawing at fragments of fragile alliances. Lords and captains, hardened by loss, argue not for peace but for strategies of dominion and survival predicated on ruthless sacrifice. Shadowy figures, their faces half hidden beneath stoic helmets, maneuver covertly, agents of power willing to betray faith itself, to bend Ultramar's fate to their will. Each whispered conspiracy ripples outward, fracturing bonds and igniting paranoia. In these halls, loyalty is currency strained through suspicion's sieve, and every alliance is a potentially fatal gambit. The war's true battleground is no longer only at the front lines, but in the hearts of those who command and believe. Echoes of the past invade the present in vivid flashes, a brother's anguished cry as he falls to treasonous blades. The final, agonized prayers of a chaplain who witnessed the breach of sanctity within their ranks. The spectral faces of the dead, whose silent judgments weigh heavier than any ordinance. These echoes entwine with the present, a ghostly dirge that feeds the psychic storm growing in the warp. Every loss compounds the void. Every betrayal deepens the gulf between purpose and desperation. Against this backdrop, Seraphon's visions grow darker, revealing glimpses of a cosmic design cruel and indifferent, where even gods fall and empires crumble beneath timeless cosmic laws. Technomancers struggle with corrupted relics, ancient machines pulsing with malignant energies that twist flesh and spirit alike. Their arcane rituals yield fleeting glimpses of the galaxy's deeper machinery, where the Emperor's crusade is but a single cog grinding ceaselessly in a cosmic engine of war and entropy. Each fragment of forbidden knowledge carries a price: madness, isolation, despair, and yet the thirst for truth burns hotter than any purity seal. The machines speak in a language of light and shadow, hinting at power far beyond mortal grasp, but demanding a sacrifice that may rend the soul of Ultramar itself. Behind stained glass windows shattered by war, the dry scent of blood and incense mingles with the whisper of conspiracies thickening beneath holy vows. Here, priests who dared to question the sacred dogma find themselves hunted like beasts, their faith deemed heresy. Yet within their clandestine gatherings, a strange hope blooms, a whispered idea that the Emperor's light might be reclaimed not through dogma, but through revelation. Their voices, fragile yet fierce, challenge the long-entrenched certainties that have shackled humanity to endless conflict. To them, the future is not written in stone, but clawed from the darkness by those brave enough to defy sacred decrees. As the orbital bombardment commences, the cosmic symphony erupts in thunderous roar. Flames consume entire continents. Skyfire rips through Gothic spires. The screams of millions burn beneath the unrelenting hail. Yet amid this inferno, The soldiers of Ultramar charged forward with defiant fury, each step a prayer, each bolt fired a testament to broken faith refusing to die. It is a grim ballet of destruction, where sanity is the first casualty and loyalty, a fragile banner waving in a hailstorm of ruin. The galaxy reshapes itself through fire and ash, and with each world consumed, the slow death of hope draws nearer. In the final stillness of battle's eye, clarity fractures mysteriously in Seraphan's gaze. A revelation shatters the curtain of war. He perceives the Emperor not as savior or slave, but as prisoner, a figure bound by cosmic shackles to prevent a far greater calamity. The sacred narratives crumble, revealing a truth buried beneath the ashes of 1,000 lies. The Emperor's grand crusade is both salvation and cage, a war within a war waged against forces beyond reckoning. The galaxy's fate hinges not merely on battle, but on awakening, on whether those who still march under Ultramar's colors will break their chains or become the very architects of annihilation. As the stars dim and warp energies twist beneath the dying light, the final scene bursts with a shattering twist. From the depths of a shattered relic, an ancient voice many-toned and beyond comprehension calls across the void. It claims kinship with the Emperor, revealing a secret pact forged in the primeval darkness, promising rebirth through destruction. The Wardens stand on the precipice of revelation and ruin. Their choices now will echo across the eons, and the eternal war marches inexorably toward a climax where loyalty may become heresy and salvation the darkest of sins. The heavens shattered like glass beneath the gaze of the dying star as orbital firestorms cascaded down with merciless fury, tearing flesh from bone, hope from heart. The Wardens of Ultramar stood shattered, bleeding, yet undeterred upon the smoking ruins. Their ceramite armor cracked, their bolters cracked with the echoes of 1,000 unspoken prayers. Around them, the ground drank deep of sacrifice. Brothers fell in silence or screamed to lost gods. The air, thick with ash and despair, swallowed the fading light as the final battle ignited, a tempest of faith and fury where destinies collided like celestial cataclysms. Every heartbeat was a tolling bell, every fallen warrior a lament that carried beyond space and time. The galaxy's eternal war hinged on this precipice, on this clash where devotion met doom. Amid the chaos, Brother Captain Seraphan faced the storm within and without. His mind split between fragile hope and crushing revelation. He carved a path through devastation, each step a confession of sin and faith intertwined. Memories, brotherhood, betrayal, love lost and fire seared through him like holy fire. Truth, terrible and beautiful, unfolded between each breath, and his voice rose as a litany to the Emperor, even as the warp-touched terrors encircled, whispering ruin. His sacrifice was not in defiance, but in acceptance, a final broken vow that the light of Ultramar's Wardens would not die quietly, even if all else crumbled into shadow. The clash unfurled sharpened bolter fire, tore through heretic flesh. Chains words rend sinew and steel alike, a cacophony of violence that was as sacred as it was profane. The air vibrated with shrieks and litanies, the sound of 1,000 souls calling out into blackened voids. Faces grim and unyielding, the Wardens fought with the fury of saints and sinners intermingled, bound by duty, unclenched in marrow and blood. Men fell, heroes rose, and the tide bent with the weight of sacrifice. The battlefield became both altar and grave. In this crucible, faith was both shield and sword fractured yet unbroken. As old gods wept and new campfires blazed, the wheels of fate ground inexorable paths through the bones of worlds. In the fierce heart of the maelstrom, Seraphan confronted the harbinger of chaos, the warped entity born of the ancient relic's corrupted spirit. Light and shadow collided around them in a tempest of psychic dread, whispers unspeakable hammering minds to ruin. The Warden's will, tempered by centuries yet frayed by doubt, clashed with the monstrous truth. The Emperor's light was not only a beacon but a prison, and the enemy was no simple demon, but the fracture of a forgotten god's broken promise. Each slash of weapon met with eldritch fury. Each breath was a prayer and a curse. In this crucible of destiny, Seraphan's soul was tested beyond limits, caught in a tidal wave of despair and hope. The battle's crescendo found the skies ablaze, stars dimming beneath the fury of unchecked wrath. Heretic zealots fell beneath the relentless fire of loyal hands, even as the fabric of reality frayed in the psychic tempest. The land itself groaned beneath the weight of death. Shattered spires toppled, cathedrals awoke to ruin. Terrible truth screamed from broken vox specters, fragments of prophecy twisted by despair. The Warden banner, tattered and stained, remained visible yet trembling atop hellscaped hills, a beacon flickering on the verge of extinction. Bound by oath and broken by fate, the warrior's last prayers were stitches woven into the fading tapestry of Ultramar's honor, the echoes of a glory that might soon be forgotten. As Seraphan's blade met the last breath of his foe, reality shuddered, a rupture, deep and infinite, tearing at the warp and the material alike. The enemy's death unleashed a storm of truth, a revelation bearing the weight of stars uncounted. The Emperor, prisoner and savior, intertwined with this entity, a cosmic duality spanning eons and dimensions, sealed to ensure the continuance of endless war and sacrifice. Victory came as a shattering stillness, a triumph that tasted of ash and loss. Seraphan crumpled, a broken sentinel watching the horizon where the sky bled black and cold, bearing the final burdens of knowledge no soul should carry unshared. The battlefield fell silent, thick with the scent of spent breath and burned steel. The grotesque quiet of aftermath pressed heavy upon the few survivors, faces drawn, eyes hollow but alight with hard-won resolve. The galaxy beyond their shattered world shifted imperceptibly, a cosmic balance tipped. Empires buffeted by the hidden storm born of war's end. The endless cycle twisted again, revealing the cost of devotion. What honor or hope remains when destiny itself is a lie etched beneath the bones of creation? Each soldier bore the weight not only of battles won or lost, but of ghosts who lingered long after the echoes faded. Within the shattered halls of Ultramar's citadel, the lords of war gathered, their faces pale, their voices uncertain. The grand design revealed was no longer one of glory, but of survival, a desperate grasp for meaning amid shattered faith and fractured loyalty. Alliances forged in fire threatened to burn with betrayal, and those who believed in the purity of purpose must now wrestle with the poison of doubt, a contagion more lethal than any Xeno's blade or heretic's blade. The fate of 500 worlds hung on this fragile precipice, yet the path forward remained shrouded in cosmic shadow, a void filled with whispered secrets and dangerous hope. In the quiet moments before the final dusk, Brother Captain Seraphan's faltering voice echoed across the ruined sanctum. His last hymn was neither despair nor defiance, but a solemn acceptance of fate's cruel hand. The light we carried, it was never ours. We guarded a cage that binds us all. His eyes closed gently, as if in surrender or transcendence. Around him, the wardens kneeled, their silence thunderous. The galaxy held its breath as stars blinked out one by one, a cosmic requiem for dreams lost to an empire's endless war. Faith was broken, but from this fracture, something new, terrible, and eternal began to stir. A lone figure moved through the ruin, not a warden, not a priest, but an enigma woven from shadow and light. Cloaked in mysteries older than Ultramar, this figure knelt beneath a glowing relic, tracing its surface with fingers trembling yet resolute. They whispered words not spoken in millennia, an ancient invocation promising salvation or annihilation. The relic pulsed a heartbeat resonating with cosmic intent. The transformation had begun. The eternal war's tide shifted irreversibly, and the fate of humanity was poised at the edge of a blade's whisper. The screen fades to black as the faintest, most chilling note lingers, a cosmic truth unfolding, but never revealed. The saga ends with a silence both profound and ominous, a universe changed forever, though none can say yet how. A faint light flickers beyond the darkness, the final ember of Ultramar's wardens, or the dawn of a nightmare reborn anew. Beneath vaulted skies once alive with the fury of war, now hushed and heavy with ash, the ruins of cathedrals loomed like silent sentinels over shattered lands. Their stained glass shattered, lost saints and forgotten martyrs stared down from columns broken by time and fire. An eternal twilight graced these relics of Ultramar's glory, their voices now whispers caught on cold winds, a litany composed not of triumph but of loss. Here, the echoes of 1,000 battles lingered, a solemn chorus of valor and sorrow fading into silence. Dust settled upon banners once held high, their vibrant colors dulled to ghosts of history. Every stone spoke of sacrifice, every crack a wound carved by hope and despair entwined. The battlefield below lay still, scarred and silent, a tomb for heroes unremembered by history's advancing tide. Bolter shells rang no longer, and the silence pressed thick like a shroud. Among the scattered relics and broken weapons, the faintest breeze carried whispers of the fallen, their voices carried on prayers never heard, songs of loyalty and doubt braided together in final surrender. Here, where the wounds of the eternal war ran deepest, the lingering question flickered: what weight must the soul bear when all is lost but duty? When the light to guide has faded into shadow? Far from the scars of war, a lone remembrancer stood atop a crumbled ledge amidst the skeletal remains of a once glorious abbey, his hands steady but heart heavy. His task was eternal, to record the unfolding saga, to hold memory against oblivion's tide. His scribbles traced tales of warriors and saints, of faith forged in fire and shattered by truth. Yet even as ink met parchment, he paused, searching for meaning in a story written by centuries of suffering and silence. What was left when the last hero fell? What echoes endure when the gods do not answer? These questions hovered like spectral smoke, unanswered but burning with quiet insistence. The remembrancer's gaze swept the horizon stars blinking faintly beyond the veil of the warp, distant as forgotten hopes. He wondered if the Emperor himself heard the pleas rising from this broken theater, or if the silence was absolute, an eternal testament to sacrifice swallowed by endless night. The lives chronicled here formed a mosaic of broken oaths and impossible hope, a fragile monument against cosmic indifference. Each name a shard of light in an ever-darkening void, their meanings twisted by time but never erased. The eternal war's true battlefield was never just nor unyielding. It was the space between belief and doubt, the trembling breath of those who endure without understanding. Across the fractured expanse, solitary figures lingered, survivors draped in dust and regret, their souls heavy with the cost of fidelity to a cause too cruel to forgive. Faces lined by the scars of lost worlds, eyes dimmed yet defiant, they bore witness not to victory, but to endurance itself, the last fragile ember against the encroaching dark. They carried no banners, no medals, only memory and unanswered prayers. In their silence, the galaxy's fate was inscribed, a testament to resilience and the unspeakable price paid by those who stand fast when all around them crumbles. Amid falling twilight, the faint glow of a flickering shrine offered a fragile promise. Its candlelight wavered in the cold, sanctified by the prayers of forgotten souls who never returned from the endless war. Between bricks crumbling under centuries of neglect, the faintest traces of a sacred hymn could still be heard, a melody of hope strained and broken, yet enduring. This hymn was not triumphant, but it was remembered, a prayer cast into the void that maybe, somewhere beyond reason and despair, there might be light still worth seeking. In these haunting shadows, the walls seemed to listen, heavy with silence broken only by the whisper of one final question. When the gods cease to answer, what becomes of faith? Is survival the victory of the soul, or a sentence to endless wandering through the ruins of meaning? These queries hung in the still air, unanswered and unanswerable, drifting like scattered petals across a graveyard of stars. The eternal war, after all, was not ended by blade or bolt, but by the slow fading of certainty itself, leaving only the fragile residue of memory and longing. The remembrancer's hand hesitated, the quill trembling over the parchment as the last pages of this chapter were etched lines filled not with triumph but with elegy. His voice, soft but unwavering, reached across the ages, a plea to the living to remember the cost, the courage, the ruin, that even in the endless night, stories endure. The legacy of the Wardens of Ultramar, protectors exalted and broken, was a testament not only to war's horrors, but to the stubborn flicker of humanity's spirit fighting collapse. The final image is a cathedral roof open to the stars, its pillars crumbled but majestic, light casting spectral patterns on dust-laden stones. A single tattered banner flutters weakly, a silent relic of hope. The scene fades softly into cosmic dust, lingering on this fragment of eternity, a whisper among the stars, an echo of faith and loss entwined. The story closes not with answers, but with an invitation to stand witness to the eternal struggle, to honor those who endure beyond hope's final breath. If this sacred chronicle stirred your spirit, stand with us. Like, subscribe, and share this recounting of the Wardens of Ultramar. Let your voice join the chorus of remembrance. Share your thoughts, your questions. Become part of this eternal tale whispered across the void, so that no name, no sacrifice, no shadow of truth may ever fade alone.